Okay, so today we're going to show you a Shigiya. This is a model G20 cylindrical grinder. It is pretty much a full-featured cylindrical grinder. It has automatic advance and retraction, has pick feed, plunge feed, and spark out. You can swivel the wheel head and the work head. Well, I'm not sure about the wheel head, but you could swivel the work head. So I don't know if this is actually classified as a universal. But anyway, this is the Shigiya G20, and it's currently wired for 220 three-phase. We've serviced it, we've run it, we've cleaned out the hydraulic system, we took off the tables and cleaned up underneath it and the slideways. And so basically you've got your INFEED dial here where you set the amount of stock removal. You've got your coarse feed and your fine feed, you got table feed, you got two dwells, and you got a way of turning your table on and off. And then you've got just, manual hand wheels. You could work with this machine manually if you wanted to. Just put it in manual. You would have to bring the slide forward hydraulically, and then you could, just grind something by hand rather than making a whole setup. Over here, you've got a couple of timers. This is your spark out timer for plunge feed. When you get down to 0, this will count down to 0. You can set it all the way around to 30 seconds. And this is your spark out counter. That's when you're doing the traverse grinding and you're reversing at these two stops. So each time you reverse at a stop, it'll count down. And the other timers are involved with the infeed of the, when you're doing that pick feeding or traverse grinding, you've got a mount that you can feed, and you also have a time. So you kind of balance the two. Most likely you don't even want to touch these. Let me go ahead and start it up. So down here on the bottom is the start. This is the stop. This is your emergency stop. So here we start it. After a few seconds, the spindle, this is a very nice heavy-duty spindle. I believe it takes a 14-inch diameter grinding wheel. We have the grinding hub over here on the table. We show you that. Pretty heavy-duty motor. It's a heavy-duty little machine. It's a small machine, but heavy-duty. You have a rapid in and out with this, where your headstock starts and stops. And if you don't want that, you can shut that off, or you can turn it on. You have traverse grinding or plunge grinding. So to start a cycle, you would come in, and you see this is feeding down to 0. This is also turning. I have this set to take off 10 thousandths. And you see a timer is on over here. Your red light is on that you're at 0, and then it kicks back and it retracts. We'll do that again. Comes in. The amount that this retracts to each time is set up here. There's also a fine feed. It goes into a fine feed at the last couple of tenths to grind off the part. That's why there's two knobs here. One controls the fine feed, one controls the coarse feed. If you didn't want to have two feeds, when you set this dial up, you just set it so that it doesn't, so the fine feed is at 0. So it'll just feed down to 0 at one side. So traverse grinding, we have to switch that to traverse. We have to turn our table on and then come in. So each time we reverse, we're going to feed down a little bit. Now the amount that this feeds each time is adjustable here. You can make it less, a lot less. Or open it up. So when you're traverse grinding, this adjusts the size of your step. The timer for the right side and the left side, or footstock and headstock, kind of sets how quickly it feeds. So if you wanted a real snappy feed, you would set that to a short time, and this to maybe open that up a little bit more so it's a little quicker the way it feeds. Well, anyway, this is going to work its way down to 0. Once it gets to 0, it's going to do the last couple of passes in the fine feed. When it gets to 0, the stop goes on, the red light, and then this starts to count. Each time this table reverses there and back, this pointer is going to drop down one number. I'll try to keep it low so we don't stay here very long. There you have it. It's a nice little grinder. We know a lot about them here, so if you have any questions, feel free to call. It's a Shigiya G20. Thank you.